everybody logged in here? And
Muted. Yep. I'll mute mine again. Yep, it's muted.
and your speakers off? We get your speakers off as well. And your speakers.
Oh.
That's down.
It is. I've been told my mic needs to be muted, but it is.
Oh, your speaker.
Your speakers off now.
Okay.
I think we got it. All right.
Is that it?
I'd like. I would like to call to order the Tuesday, January 17th meeting of the Monmouth City Council and ask the roll call, please. Phyllis Bowman.
Counselor Belts is excused. Counselor Carey.
Here.
Counselor Lopez. Counselor McKeel.
Here.
Counselor Oberst. Counselor Salinas Oliveros.
Here.
Mayor Coontz.
I am present and I will lead us in the flag salute. Just had my practice. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, tonight we have a consent calendar consisting of 2 items. That was our regular meeting of the council on January 3rd, and the following night, a meeting, joint meeting of the Monmouth City Council and the Planning Commission. Those minutes were included in your packet. Were there any corrections or additions? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
I sent a minor correction to Phyllis about my motion on the land use item that make a change from that conditional use would terminate on sale to conditional use would terminate on change of ownership, which is how I phrased it at the time.
For ownership, yeah.
That's the only change I have.
And the list probably got that. We may not have.
I
gotten-
believe that's in the minutes as they were sent out, but I'm not sure. It's in the minutes for cease to sign that way corrected.
Okay.
All right. So
Move approval
with that correction.
I would second
with
that.
that correction.
And who's the second?
Second.
We're giving it to
I'll
council.
second the second.
They're fighting over the consent calendar agenda here tonight. It's going to be a long night, people. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And any opposed? Seeing none. Thank you very much. This evening, I believe everybody is here for a presentation in the room. Did we receive any public comments Phyllis submitted or anyone online to make public comments of a general nature?
There are no people online, nor did we receive any, Mayor Coontz.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, that brings us to a very special presentation this evening. And I'm actually going to ask Director Russ Cooper of our Public Works Department to introduce a special guest, and we'll call up another special guest. So, Director Cooper. Yes, please. How do we get you
So
on?
tonight, Matt Etzel from Pacific Northwest Clean Water Association is here to give an award or present an award for one of your finest employees. And so I'll turn it over to Matt right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. As Russ said, my name is Matt Etzel. I am the president of the West Central Oregon section of the PNCWA. Our section covers Lane, Lynn, Benton, Marion, Polk, Lincoln, and Tillamook counties. The PNCWA covers Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, so we're a subsection of the PNCWA. Our section offers continuing education credits for water and wastewater operators. One thing that we're known for throughout the PNCWA is our plant profiles. It's where operators can visit another wastewater treatment facility in our section, and they can network with other operators. They can check out equipment those operators are using at their wastewater treatment facility that maybe they're thinking about using at theirs. So it's a really good thing. We also offer free lunch and continuing education credits that DEQ and drinking water require for water and wastewater operators. So a little less about us and more about why I'm here tonight. Every year we celebrate a wastewater treatment and collection operator within our section, and we do a treatment operator of the year and a collections operator of the year. Darren, like a lot of our collections operators, are a jack of all trades. Talking with Mark, he's told us how Darren, in the absence of your guys' treatment operator, has stepped up, taking on that role, filling in when he had other collections duties to fulfill. He stepped up and did the treatment ones as well. I'm sure most of you are aware, with cities your size, public works get roped into doing a lot of odds and ends. And so I personally like the collections award because I think these guys just really do a little bit of everything, more so than the treatment guys. But Darren has actually presented this award at our annual golf tournament fundraiser, where we raise funds for a scholarship for a wastewater operator or student going through a water program at one of the local colleges. I think we surprised him pretty good that day. His wife and a couple of coworkers showed up, and it was a pretty cool event. But our section also thinks it's important that we present these awards to the city council so that you guys all hear what great work these wastewater operators are doing. It's not a glamorous job, but your guys' cities wouldn't run without them. So I just think it's important that we recognize Darren tonight. And yeah, I think if you have any questions, let me know. But
Thanks, Darren Dornbush. Everybody, thank you so much. So go ahead, Matt. And Mr. Landau, do you have any additional words for us about Darren and his work in your department?
Darren, he really stepped up, just like Matt had said. He came in, filled in for the wastewater treatment operator position when we lost our operator to another department. And Darren did a phenomenal job with that. And so I nominated him for this position. And Darren is a great asset to the city, just like the rest of the guys on our crew. And we are very proud to have Darren down there. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're proud too. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for coming, Mark, and doing that for us too. Thank you, Matt, for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Letting us know about this.
Yeah, thank you.
Next year, John Cherry will let us come to the golf tournament.
That's
and
right. That's right. Send me an invite, baby.
he's got to
Landau, golf tournament.
Yeah.
John Kerry.
I'm playing.
We'll hook you up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Our first, this evening, we will take care of a couple of business items. We have our reports. We do have an executive session, but what we'll do is pause our council meeting, adjourn to the Urban Renewal Agency meeting, come back, and then complete our executive session this evening. That executive session item is pursuant to ORS 192.662I, performance evaluation of public officers and employees. So that will be our agenda this evening. And we'll start off by this, an application for an OLCC license for a new business in town. Did I see Phyllis was doing that?
I believe so, yes.
Phyllis Bowman has that information for us.
I do.
Well, you're listed as the,
All right. So I didn't realize I was on this. Sorry. La Vita Feliz LLC, I'm sure I butchered that name, has applied for a liquor license, a new limited on presence license. They're located where the Urban Deli used to be. And the police department did their background check and found no issues with the owner. The staff recommends sending OLCC a recommendation in favor of approving the license.
Great.
okay. Questions? Yes.
Can
Councilor Sleems.
I go ahead and do the motion and then the question? Okay. So I move to send OLCC a recommendation in favor of approving the liquor license for La Unvita Feliz.
Second.
Second.
Councilor Salinas Oliveris, thank you for the motion, and Councilor Oberst McKeel, thank you for this. Any questions or comments there?
Just the on-premise liquor license, beer and wine, is that the primary focus? Or will there
Yes,
be?
it's not a full on premise. Full on premise is hard alcohol also.
Okay, yeah. Supposed to be a beer and wine deal. Yeah.
Correct.
All right, seeing no other
Chris.
questions, all in
Chris.
favor, Councilor Lopez.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Chris.
Still can't hear you, Chris.
Let's try that.
There you
There
are.
you go.
All
Hey.
right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for noticing me here. I think my question has to do more with kind of the nature of the downtown corridor there, and is probably best pointed or directed to a member of our police department. Is there a is there? This seems odd that we don't have a member of the police department present to answer questions on this OLCC license. Is this a departure from where we've been before, or what? I'm just, I guess, having a little trouble understanding.
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe typically. Go ahead, Phyllis. I'm sorry.
We had a departure when, with the Sippery, when one of our police officers was involved, and I'm not sure how this came about this time. It might have just been a continuation of that.
I understand. I think if memory serves me correctly, with the Sippery, with one of our police officers being involved, it was a different officer that had stood in their place. Not that I don't appreciate and value you, Phyllis, but I guess I'll state my concern for the record. This will have my support, but I do have a concern about the nature of our downtown district, especially as we've had numerous noise complaints from other businesses or from the community about other businesses that are serving alcohol mere blocks from this location. So I have every reason to believe that this business will be responsible in how they comport business, but I do have an existing concern about the general tenor in our downtown district and some negative pressures on the community there.
Okay. We'll note those and have a discussion about that, probably around other things. So in this time, then, I will go ahead and ask Colin.
Just real quickly, I would point out that, well, it would be nice to have police officers here with a brand new application, and the fact that almost nothing we say is going to have OLCC not approve this. I'm not so worried, I guess, Chris, about there not being a police officer here for this one. For ones where there have been complaints in the past because they've been open for a while, those are the ones I really feel it's important we have representation from the folks who get to deal with those issues. So that's
And
all.
thanks, council, for both the concern noted, and we'll make an effort to return to the typical practice of being sure that our police department is here to comment on future applications.
Well,
Go ahead.
just that. Good, nice to hear that we'll have that, but that doesn't relate to this application. These people did all they needed to do, and we have it before us. And so while there's other things that we can do better next time, let's slow these people up.
All in favor of forwarding our approval to OLCC, please signify by saying aye.
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 Great, thank you very much. We shall send that forward. Our second business agenda item is an adoption, a second reading and adoption of our urban renewal plan. Substantial amendment. So, item we've worked on several times. I see Elaine Howard, our consultant, is with us for questions, but Suzanne Duffner, our Community and Economic Development Director, will present this to us.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council and Honorable Mayor. I am here to give a brief staff report for the Urban Renewal Substantial Plan Amendment Ordinance Adoption. This is number 1407. The mayor stated correctly, this has come before you a number of times. We've had a work session. There was a public hearing held last month in December. First reading was held in January 3rd. It's also gone through the Planning Commission, a public hearing with the Planning Commission, where they recommended adoption of the proposed plan amendments as well. The plan amendments, and brief summary again, would slightly raise the maximum indebtedness spending amount allowed under the urban renewal plan from 12 million to just over 16 million. Remove the duration provision of the urban renewal plan that had its sunsetting on a time-specific date, and slightly amend the project list to kind of bring it up to date with our current capital improvement planning efforts. So I'm adding just 2 small properties that provide some future affordable housing opportunity sites. So all just to kind of help modernize that plan and get it, keep it on track so that we can finish that really important work. Most of it is infrastructure related to help support the growth and development of our city. So I believe that the staff report outlines the process for the plan amendment, that we're following those steps really closely, working with our consultant, Elaine Howard, who's on the line to help answer questions I might not be able to answer. There is a copy of the ordinance attached in your council packets with a proposed motion for you if you're ready for that. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have as well.
Yes, Councilor Rovers.
I'd like to thank Elaine for the follow-on documents around the revenue sharing piece of this. And if this district stretches out to full funding and full time duration, the special districts will see a nice little payback just before the end. And of course, once the thing terminates, that's when everyone will feel really good about that. Once the time's done.
Yeah.
That said, I think this is a really nice amendment to this district, both in time, extending it in time, and also in space. And these two small additions, picking up a couple empty parcels, is just perfect. Trying to help those districts, those parcels that are kind of internal to the city, go ahead and get some development done on them. I think it's a really nice move. So I think this is a nice addition to our district, and that district is doing good things for the city right now.
Other comments or questions? Councillor Carey?
First of all, the question, and then I'll make a comment at the end. But in the documents, we see that the majority of the projects are going to be scheduled to be completed in the 26 fiscal year 26, 4 years out. There's a lot there. That's an aggressive schedule. That was noted, I think, last time we talked about this. I don't know that I mean, I'm sure that we could extend that just a bit longer in terms of the actual project. Will that impact, if we do have to extend those projects, completion of those projects, will that extend the life of the agency beyond 36?
Yeah, so by removing the duration provision, there's not a specific year that we have to have those completed by. So ending it by fiscal year 2035, I believe, is the date that that we've shown that we've reached our maximum indebtedness, is our best estimate based on projections, right, moving forward on the tax increment revenues that will come in over time and as development happens in the district. So yeah, I mean, it's our best guess. If it takes us longer because we overestimated how much we could get done by 2026, then it could, unless we can kind of catch up for that in future years. So I know a number of the projects, hopefully not speaking too out of turn for Public Works, but they kind of stacked them in certain sequencing because they were related to each other. They'd be working in a similar area of town, like a water and a sewer project, or in a specific road segment. So, there's some economies of scale, I think, with some of those projects. But yeah, there's definitely some uncertainty of, just how long it will take in getting, labor and bids back on that, and supply chain issues sometimes have led us to where we're at today of things just taking a little bit longer. So, but yeah, it's duly noted. This is kind of our best estimate of that capital improvement planning when those projects will happen, but it's just our best, attempt to try to get that down on a schedule, because again, we realize that there is an impact to the special taxing districts. And so our goal is to, while we're removing the duration provision, we certainly want to respect that this is having a financial impact on them. So be able to get in and get out on these projects and get them completed. And they will also benefit our economic development as well. Once we are able to put in that base infrastructure that's needed for some of these parcels to develop, then they can start to be built on and generate that tax increment revenue.
And that's
kind
of what I anticipated that, but we've got those payback
Right.
spreadsheets and all of that
Mhm.
we have out there. And while I don't know that anybody has suggested that they're ironclad, you worry that some of those payback schedules might be altered somewhat if the projects extend 2 years, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because there's a lot there. And okay, so in effect, there's really not any impact, and we're not curtailed by a hard stop at the end. So we're okay on that one. Okay. I was a little apprehensive about this to begin with, but have swung wholly behind it as we look, and to your point that you just made, Suzanne, our opportunity to build out some infrastructure that will lay the groundwork for future development, be it economic, be it residential, be it commercial, whatever it might be. And to do that in a way that doesn't require the increase of rates and the increase of any sort of user tax or regular tax in any sort of way. So this is a good way to really move ourselves forward without taxing the taxing units that are out there are on a bit of a holding pattern, but with the revenue sharing, it'll be made better. A lot of the projects that are built into this have been in some of our other capital improvement stuff. This is a new way to pay for some of that, and a wise way. And you'll hear it from me again, when we begin to talk about rate increases and so on especially sewer and water, we'll want to recognize that some of these capital projects are no longer a driver necessarily, because we're covering it in a different way. So that may be able to allow us to delay some rate increases that might otherwise be necessary to fund these things. So good work, and I think it's a great way to move the city forward.
All right, nice. No questions online. So I would like to hear a motion regarding this ordinance. Yes.
I move to adopt ordinance 1407.
I second.
Thank you, Councillor McKeel, for the motion to adopt an ordinance making certain determinations and findings relating to and approving the Monmouth Urban Renewal Plan Amendment dated January 3rd, 2023, and directing that notice of approval be published. And Councillor Lopez for the second. And roll call, please, Phyllis.
Councillor Oberst,
Yes.
Councillor Salinas Oliveros,
Aye.
Councillor McKeel,
Yes.
Councillor Lopez,
Aye.
Councillor Carey.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the notice.
Support. Will do.
It's work. Thank you again, Elaine. We appreciate you going through this again. And
Thank you, and
Really?
thank you for the opportunity to work with your staff. They're great people to work with.
Yes, they are.
They're very lucky.
They're fantastic.
Lane's been great
Thanks.
to work with you. Thank you.
Thanks. That brings us to reports, and just a couple of things on my mayor's report. I had a busy weekend, the opportunity Saturday to MC a town hall by Ron Wyden, our U.S. Senator. He likes to visit Polk County, as he does every county in Oregon, and he likes holding that at Western Oregon University. So I was able to be able to help him as he answered, a dozen or more questions, I think, from the community. It was his 1034th town hall
Wow.
that he has held in Oregon during
Wow.
his time in office. And it was particularly exciting to see some of our Western Oregon students be able to ask some extremely articulate questions. And one of them, maybe two of them, actually got job offers for internships, either at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. or at the Capitol in Salem. So out of that. So that was pretty exciting. But we had a good full house for the senator, and appreciate welcoming him here and getting a chance to have him hear about directly sort of what interests are. Yesterday was an equally fun day. Suzanne Duffner and Adri Clark, who directs the Service Learning and Career Center at Western Oregon University, had an opportunity to talk about a partnership to help our community on Martin Luther King Day to honor that with a day of service. And so our community service officer had identified some properties that maybe needed some code enforcement issues, had sort of been the target of complaints, but whose property owners were unable to really do the work that needed to be done. And so through that, the city identified those properties. The university brought some faculty, some staff, and students, or probably about 3 dozen of us, maybe I think about 30 or so. Started out here yesterday with some coffee and donuts and picked up shovels and gloves and some lovely pruning shears and headed out, took by van to 3 different sites and did some property cleanup. We had a group cleaning graffiti off of several fences that were along Gwynn Street down here. We had a property that had sort of become a neighborhood trash collection site, I think, right on Monmouth, and we were able to get a lot of that cleaned up. And then another property where the homeowner had a lot of blackberries growing and just wasn't physically able to get out and take care of that. So we really hope this grows and we get more community members involved, hopefully start getting a wish list of projects that we think we can knock out on a day of service like that. But it's a really good opportunity. Again, amazing group of Western students that joined us. And thank you, Suzanne, and our code enforcement officer for getting that coordinated so that we were able to do some real visible good, I think. It's very exciting. And some community partners who helped out with that. So appreciate that. We have our reports of boards and commissions, and I know we just kind of assigned them, and I'm not sure if any of us got to those meetings. So we'll hear those reports, and then we have a couple of appointments to consider. So Councilor Oberst.
So I failed to check my city email for about a week after our last meeting. And during that time, I came the call to go to the tree board meeting. So I missed the tree board meeting. However, I can tell you that that board is short of people enough that it cannot find a quorum at this point. And I have a couple of likely suspects I'm going to see if I can convince that they really need to join in the public service of volunteering for our community. But if anyone here or watching or whatever knows anybody who might be interested in helping with the tree board, we could use the help.
Thanks.
Go get it.
Councilor Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a report from the Parks and Rec Board. The Parks and Rec Board did meet last week, and gosh, what a fantastic group of people. I am very much looking forward to being able to work with and support and get to know them all a little bit better. Much of their discussion surrounded the grant program that they have for projects engaging the public, centering around our parks and around recreation and public spaces. This was very high level in discussing how that program will be structured this year. More on that to come as it develops. And the next meeting is on February 8th at 6 p.m. at Public Works. I also have a report. Oh, and I should note, my apologies. I should note there are a couple of openings on the Parks and Rec Board as well. I believe that we'll likely have at least one application coming our way soon. But like many other boards, we do have vacancy or two. So get out there, and if there are folks that are passionate about our public spaces, please send them our way. I'd also like to report on the Mid-Willamette Valley Community or Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance. The Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance has elected a new chair. Our very own County Commissioner Jeremy Gordon is replacing Kathy Clark as chair of this entity. We're looking forward to his guidance, and really excited about what this means for Polk County and rural areas of the continuum as a whole. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the point in time count. It's coming up quickly, coming up next week. The count will take place on January 24th and 25th. 25th, we'll be counting with a team of volunteers out in the community. 24th, the Polk County is coordinating a Community Connect event. This will be taking place at the Dallas Evangelical Bible Church, and is being sponsored by the county FCO office. It's going to be a fantastic event. It's more than this event does encompass counting, but it's more than just counting individuals with need. It's truly connecting people with resources. There's going to be over 30 community organizations there, offering a whole host of activities and services. I mean, not just food, activities, haircuts, even for those that might need them, health screenings. It's going to be really a fantastic event supporting those that need in our community. I believe that there is still need for volunteers at this event. So if you're interested, you can find out information on Polk County's website under their service integration and the Community Connect event. That concludes my reports. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Councilor Salinas Oliveros.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So for mine, Arts and Culture meets on Thursday, so this coming Thursday. And our past group, our homeless prevention team, we met last Wednesday. Grand Ron gave a presentation of their county homes that have been put in for, I believe, 10 of their homeless community. And so they're trying to discuss how to expand that and how to bring in some transitional housing. And so that was a presentation. And then we also heard some success stories with the Resource Center. And then our consultant, Marianne, has gathered a subcommittee for strategic planning that are meeting a couple times this month to hopefully have something to present in February.
And Councilor McKeel.
Yeah, well, I just have to say that I really miss the tree board, but I promise to be there at every tree planting with my shovel.
Okay.
So, but yeah, and I'm leaving it in good hands with recruiting members. So,
I'll see what I can do.
yes, but I am
Asking for help.
I've landed very nicely with the library board. It was a delightful group of people. We had our meeting last week, and the report on that, the library recently got a new Wi-Fi with 2 access points. The older access points kept dropping signals, and after an update, no longer provided stats, which is, I guess, really bad. Doesn't sound good. The other thing, actually, this is very exciting. The 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program is going to start soon at the library. And this program encourages parents to read to their young children, which actually there is stats, there's data that shows that the more you read to children, it helps them prepare for kindergarten. So I was really excited to learn about that project that is here in Monmouth. Also, don't have to save the date. It's actually coming up this Friday, January 20th. The library is hosting an author program at 6:30 p.m. They're bringing in Erica Bolstadt, who is going to talk about her new book, Windfall. And if just that doesn't entice you, there's going to be refreshments provided by Starbucks. So it's a win-win. You got an author, a new book, and coffee. And there is a vacancy, so people better sign up fast because this is an incredible group. And the next meeting is Wednesday, February 8th at 7 a.m. So you do need coffee.
What was the author's name again?
Erica Bolstad. I have it written down here if you so you can check this. It's Bolstad. You want to look, and the book is Windfall. So fun time this Friday.
All right. And planning?
Well, I'd just say that planning y'all met, or we all met. I looked at it online afterwards, and so there was a good discussion, I think. Not sure whether there was any recommendations that came out of that, none that were clear at least, and a number of issues that I think probably will need to be teased a little more and didn't get maybe full consideration. But that's for the future. And so the planning guys folks have been working hard to get that. And it was good. It was a good meeting.
Yeah.
A lot of interaction, interchange, discussion. We'll see what kind of recommendations move forward on that, I guess.
All right. Thank you. We do have 2 applications for consideration, and one of those we've had for a few days. The other, I think, came recently for some of those application for the Parks and Rec Board, and Ryan Knack, a Monmouth resident, also very engaged with Central Youth Sports. So one of his interests, talking in general about youth sports opportunities, but also building those community partnerships, and had a lot of, I think we'll be interested in how we better use our sports and recreation, maybe sort of a bigger picture about building those partnerships. So.
And I will note at my last Parks Board meeting, we talked about, gee, it'd be great to have a new board member who came to us from CYS, and boom.
Boom.
There we are.
Here he is. So I would entertain a motion to approve Ryan Knack.
So moved.
Parks and Rec Board.
Second.
Okay, motion by Oberst and second by McKeel. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And none opposed. And we also had an opening for our resident member of the MyNet board. That is a position that David Ritchie has held for 13 years. And we opened up to see if we had anyone else interested. We received only 1 application by the deadline, and that was David Ritchie. So he is willing to continue to serve this board. And with his background actually in information technology, he, from my understanding, has been a very valuable member, including some hands-on work when MyNet needed help. So he did apply, and I would entertain a motion to approve David Ritchie's application for the MyNet board.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, yeah, we'll let Councilor Lopez
Yes.
fill up the board.
He's got the time lag up there.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Yeah,
You could just move it in second too, you know.
there you go.
That whole
Will
time.
you take the second on that, Councilor Salinas Oliveros?
Oh, of course.
Then all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
We will notify those 2 that we appreciate their continued volunteer service. That's pretty amazing. So.
Mhm.
And at this point, then I'll turn it over to Marty, and I guess you'll be talking about the town hall. I did
I will.
do that.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's on my list. Sure.
Good.
So I have a couple of city manager report items for you tonight. These reports always seem a little bit random just because of the varied nature of all the things that I want to be sure that you're aware of. Tonight, it's mostly save the date notes that I think you've seen before. But first, I will announce that our 3rd trolley vehicle is estimated to arrive tomorrow at Public Works, and that makes our fleet of 3 trolleys complete. We have a bunch of work to do to implement service, and so including make sure the logo is on the vehicles, install some stuff on the vehicles, train the operators. And so I think now the estimated service date for the trolley operation will be mid-February. I'll confirm that next, but we're moving along at getting our trolley service in place. Other thing to look forward to in February is they're going to be bringing back the Love Local campaign, which was a chance
That's
for
fun.
people to shop at local businesses, and it was restaurants at the time, and then get a utility bill credit for their receipts. So we're looking forward to some more support for local businesses in February. There are a couple of events coming up. I hope that you've heard about the Winter Art Show at the library. That's on January 28th. So I think we're soliciting entries from all of our community artists for that event.
And that event is tied to art reflecting literature. So if you have a nice piece of art you've done that references book, enter it in the show.
Thank you. Hopefully you've marked your calendars for our first budget kickoff meeting, which is on January 31st. So that's coming up here in a couple of weeks. And then finally, we have 2 meetings coming up that are, one is your council goal setting. We've asked you to save the date for February 18th for that day-long session for you all to set 1, 2, and 4-year goals and priorities for the city. And then as an input to your council goal setting, we're also hoping that you can attend a town hall meeting on January 30th, which is a Monday. We'll have it in late afternoon, like 5:30 to 7:30 at the annex. And we're going to try to make very broad, deep invitations into the community to have as many folks come as possible, to have some multi-round discussions about the future of Monmouth, what our community members see the city is facing, where they think the city's role and focus should be. And so our goal is to really hear from the community about priorities for the future. So that's January 30th. It's 5:30 to 7:30 and the annex is on 16th. It's 1483 16th Street. It's the
Corner of 16th and Hoffman, sort of kitty corner from Ash Creek Elementary School.
The old
It's an old
school.
church and the Jolly Christian
Yeah.
Academy. It's now owned by the school district. It's in Monmouth.
Yep.
It's outside of the street, but
It's right at the very So, and hopefully, I don't expect that folks always get to Friday Notes on Friday when I send them, but we had really great news at the end of last week that we received our Safe Routes to School grant for safety enhanced crossing improvements and sidewalks around Monmouth Elementary School. So we're really, excited about that possibility and great to get those projects moving. I think that's all I've got for tonight for City Manager report, unless you have questions.
Do we have a targeted strategy for targeting the Western element faculty, administrators, and students for the town hall?
A specific strategy, I don't know if I can answer that. Yes, but
we did, and specifically what Sabra and I talked about was the political science department, that sort of getting them to understand a public process and have those students there particularly would be one target. We'll make general announcements, social media. Sabra will be sending out a lot of information, but I thought an interesting target audience might be those students who are studying.
One of the things that I concur,
Policy.
but the campus life people, student life, because there's often that, gee, we'd like Monmouth to be a little bit more vibrant, and we would like the students to be a little more behaved, and there's all that give and take, but there is that element that I think would behoove us to hear from that component.
I will connect with Melissa Larson, the new students.
thank you for that suggestion.
All right, that brings us to council comments and announcements, and Councilor Oberst.
So stay with me for just a minute. A good friend of mine contacted me, recently retired. She was contacted by in 2 directions. One by a gentleman named Drew Hawley, who is a video producer and director in Vancouver, and the other direction by a history professor at Western Oregon University. Mr. Holly has produced a film called Buffalo Soldiers, Fighting on Two Fronts. And it was awarded the Pacific Northwest Best Documentary at the Tacoma Film Festival, an Audience Choice Award. Further, WGBH in Boston has picked up this film and will be broadcasting it nationwide for Juneteenth. And the issue that my friend Amy called me about was that Western, Drew got a grant from the state of Washington to sort of shot this thing around the West Coast and show it at various institutions and so on. And Western was interested but had no funding. And so Amy called me. And I contacted a couple of people on campus who proceeded to piece together, and the total cost to bring this film to town for a showing is $1,500. And reaching around campus, Black Student Union, the Freedom Center, the DEI office, and the History Department came up with 1,000 of that. I approached our city manager to see if we would like to engage in helping fund this as a Black History Month celebration item. And the answer was affirmative. And so it looks like we're going to be able to pull together the funding to bring this. I've also been talking with the financial director at the school district about the possibility of a showing at the high school. And we'll see how that one all comes together. But this is scheduled for February 13th at 4 p.m. and it's on campus. I think it's still back and forth between the Pacific Room and the Willamette Room as to what's the expected crowd size. And Drew Holly himself will be here and to answer questions and engage the audience about this really interesting story. These African-American cavalry soldiers, I always get those two backwards, served in the American West in the late 1800s, but they were also overseas.
We have two local women who will sing the Black National Anthem or Lift Every Voice and Sing. And our special speaker is Dr. Dwayne Plaza, who is a sociology professor at OSU and actually a very good presenter. I've seen him present at OSU. And he will talk about the resistance and persistence of the African American people in the face of white supremacy. So he gives it's an interactive presentation. So February 28th. So you want to be here. It should be a very good presentation. And he's a well-loved OSU professor. I should say that too. Oh, and also watch for, I'm sorry, I knew there was one more. Watch for the kids' art going up. We have 24 classes doing it this year. So we've like doubled the amount of artwork going up. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
All right. Any other announcement? Yes, Councilor Perry.
I would hope that we would take the advantage to really promote in all appropriate venues, Darren Dornbecker's or Dornbush's recognition. That's a nice deal. It's a regional award and a chance to pat ourselves on the back and vicariously through him. But nonetheless, we can brag about something, and he ought to be recognized for good quality work outside of his own professional group and this small group.
All right. At this time, I would entertain a motion to recess the council meeting in order to go to the Urban Renewal Agency.
Move recess to Urban Renewal.
Huh?
I said move recess to Urban Renewal.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, yes.
Okay, great. So we will recess city council, and if you don't mind, we'll plow right into our Urban Renewal Agency agenda. So I would like to call to order this Tuesday, January 17th meeting of the Urban Renewal Agency and ask Ms. Bowman for the roll call, please.
Ms. Belts is excused. Mr. Carey,
Here.
Mr. Lopez,
Here.
Ms. McKeel,
Here.
Mr. Oberst,
Here.
Ms. Salinas Oliveros,
Here.
Chairwoman Coons.
I am present, and seeing no one here for citizen comments for the Urban Renewal Agency, did we have anything submitted for that, Ms. Bowman?
We do not. Chairman
All right.
Coons.
Thank you. We have a consent calendar, and I'm curious, Ms. Bowman, because I have in my packet a couple of minutes. One is the Urban Renewal Agency meeting of January 3rd, but the other is actually from October 18th. Are both of those items a part of our consent calendar this evening?
You have both of those in your packet?
In my stuff to sign.
Oh, no, the other one was, you weren't here, so you said you would
I'll
sign
have to
it.
sign for that. Thank you very
Yeah, we
much.
just hadn't signed it.
I'm confused now. So
Okay.
the only consent calendar item is to approve the minutes of the Urban Renewal Agency meeting of January 3rd, which Chairman Carey ably ran. So
So moved.
entertain, Ms. Salinas Oliveros moved to accept those minutes as submitted. And a second from Ms. McKeel.
I will happily second. He did an amazing job. We missed you, but he did
He did a good job.
Wonderful. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
seeing none opposed, we have two items on our business agenda this evening. And so the urban renewals portion of our community and economic development director is here with us, Suzanne Duffner, to present for our consideration a facade grant for PCL Prisms Gallery. And I see Gary Zenson and Zelly Allen online representing our applicant. So go ahead.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Yes, we are kind of on a little roll here of facade grants. So pretty exciting to be able to help businesses and organizations in our community with these funds. So this is a request for a $1,500 facade grant. So to cover 1/2 the cost of the total project expenses. The application comes from Partnerships in Community Living. They've submitted a facade grant request to install an automatic door opener for their main public entrance for the Prism Art and Gallery and Studio that's located at 215 Monmouth Street East. This is some know it as the old hardware location, also the Oddfellows Lodge building that was built in 1922. So definitely a great improvement that we are trying to encourage to make our downtown buildings more accessible to the public and people with disabilities, to allow them independent access for their customers and employees. So it is most definitely an eligible project that we fund with these with this grant program. The part of the application that was submitted included an estimated cost for the improvements, as I mentioned, of $3,000. We can pay up to 50% of the project costs with these grant funds. Per the program guidelines. The estimate was provided by Capital City Door, so that is included in the application packet. If the grant application is approved, so we'll have a grant agreement with PCL that they need to sign before the work begins. And in order to get funding, basically, it's saying that they'll comply with our grant program requirements and call for an inspection prior to funds are released for the project to make sure it was done according to specification. The grant is consistent with the guidelines of our program and helping make accessible improvements to a historic building in the downtown. So staff is recommending approval, and there's a sample motion, if you're ready for that, in your packets. And as Chairwoman Kuntz also pointed out, we are joined by Zelly Allen and Gary Zenzen here in case there's additional questions about the project that I can answer. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yes, Ms. McKeel.
I think this looks pretty straightforward. I would like to move to approve the facade improvement grant application for 1/2. The eligible project cost expense up to $1,500 for the property located at 215 Main Street East.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McKeel, for the motion, and Ms. Salinas Oliveros for the second. Any other questions of our applicants or Director? Yes, Mr. Carey.
A couple. One, in the address is 215 Main Street East. The picture shows right above the door 225. Is that another door on the same building?
Yeah, so there's also a tenant in there for the physical therapy building. They share ground floor space, so there may be a typo in that address. I don't know if Gary or Zelly, if you recall which one is the correct address. Sorry, I don't have my.
I believe the correct address is 215. I don't have my.
The door is mounted at 225, and I guess I'm thinking that that's the same building, just another entrance.
Yeah. It's it covers the whole block, and we're just right on the corner. So we could certainly confirm that. Again, I apologize. I don't have all my.
If it's the same building and basically it opens into the same area, it's immaterial as far as I'm concerned. There may be, that building may have that address, but if it would have been subdivided or partitioned
old addresses
previously.
that hung on, to that
Okay.
parcel. And
The hardware store used to have 2 doors, and one of those doors is now PT Northwest.
Right, this
Well,
used to be
no.
the main door to the hardware store. They may have put the 225 address because it looks like it was removed, right? It looks like there were numbers up there maybe that were removed.
oh yeah, that's why I was having trouble finding it. I see what you're talking about. Yeah, it looks like it's been removed. Yeah,
Just having the transom window.
that's the next grant to paint it. So-
The other question that I have about this, and I agree with with Carol's motion on this, that it's a good project. But as I'm looking at, where are we? On the staff report, the second bullet there of the approval, work completed before a grant agreement is signed is not eligible for reimbursement. We're just now approving this now, and that work is already done.
Yeah, no, the work hasn't been done yet. So
It hasn't been done?
It has not. No.
This is an estimate that they've received from the company that wouldn't be.
Well, I drove by it. I drove by and looked at the window pictured on the way here. Unless they're going to put a second door in.
There's a main entry, and that door is manually operated right now. And our proposal is to automate that door so folks with accessibility issues can move into it. So it's the door that's actually facing Main Street, right near the corner of the building.
Although the door I looked at looked all the world like the one pictured.
Well, this is showing existing condition. So
Pardon?
it's just showing, in part of the grant application, we asked for a photo of the building as it is today. So these are just existing before the door opener is installed. Mhm.
Indoor, outdoor, yeah.
Well, you know, I'll check them when I go home, but that looks all the world there like it is now.
Yeah, so this,
It's not
they have an
door, it's the
existing.
opener. It's the
Right,
automatic
the
opening
button
system you're asking
that you
about.
push.
There's a typical
So you,
door slower down or whatever you want to call those things
Yeah,
over the
so-
door.
Mhm.
But that's not an automatic one. That's just to keep the door from slamming and so on.
Yeah,
So the door won't be replaced, but they're adding the opening equipment.
got it.
And there'll
I
be the
see.
There we
little
go.
push button that'll
Correct.
say
Yeah.
handicap that you push on the outside or the
And then it
inside.
automatically will
Or
open it.
to-
Which is different than that.
Or correct, yeah.
Yeah,
That looks like they keep.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see now. It was unclear
Opening thing.
all that was going to change with both the interior and exterior photo. So if it's not been done, then we're good.
Yeah, shocking that $3,000 doesn't actually.
Right.
Just- It's the automatics.
Those are very
Yeah.
expensive.
Very expensive. All right, any other questions? All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Right?
Aye.
Hi.
And seeing none opposed, we do approve that grant application. So thank you once again for not only making that space beautiful.
Yes.
Mhm.
fun
Thank
and
you.
inviting,
Thank
you
you.
but making
yeah,
it
please come visit. I spent a couple hours there myself this afternoon, and it's
Yeah.
it's an amazing space. I mean, you can just feel at home. There's so much energy and warmth, and it's really great. We really appreciate your collaboration here. It's kind of a big deal, even for our main office down on Catron Street. It took us years to get automatic door openers, but I mean, for an organization that supports people with disabilities, it's almost shameful not to have something like that available. And we have a door like that. It's essentially going to be exactly the same kind of system, and it all you see is just a button on the outside and a button on the inside, and they're both Bluetooth controlled, so there's not any kind of ugly. It's just pure accessibility, which is really great, and we really appreciate your support here.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you for your work.
Yes,
Wait till
beautiful
Zelly gets
space.
his kiln in there too. All right.
Okay, Steve,
He's
thank
like,
you.
yeah, Zelly's. All right, thank you, and we'll move to our second item of business, and we have a financial report, and I see again the piece of funding from the Urban Renewal Agency that goes to our finance director, Janet Chenard. So,
Bye, thank you.
Janet, annual report.
Thanks very much, board member Kuntz and other agency board members. I'm super excited to bring you our fourth annual report on the Urban Renewal District. One of the things I want to lead off with is that while I provided the numbers for this report, your community development and economic development director, public works director, and power and light director all contributed extensively to the beautiful document you have before you. Elaine offers every year to do this for us, but your staff gets it done instead and saves you a little money, and I think produces a pretty nice product. So I just want to sing their praises for the lovely pictures in particular that this creative genius could not have come up with. But the numbers are also exciting. You'll see on the first page that the assessed value of the Urban Renewal District has more than doubled in the in less than 20 years that we've been working with this piece of land. And of course, as you know, literally it's been the last several years that have really contributed to that growth in assessed value. So we've gone from our frozen base of 34.7 to over 80 million, and that's as at the end of fiscal 22. And I can tell you it's higher again in fiscal 23 based on what the county has assessed it at. So that is great news as far as our ability to capture those tax increment financing dollars that will help us pay back our debt that we have issued and will be issuing hopefully this year or early next year. And that will help us accomplish all of these projects timely as possible. As Board Member Carey is fond of pointing out, we do want to get these projects done. I'm not going to talk about the projects too much. If you have questions about what was accomplished this year, I'm hoping between Suzanne, I don't know if Russ is still in the audience, but Suzanne might be able to give you a little bit more information, and I can to some extent. But I do want to talk about some of the numbers that you see starting on page 5 or page 25 of your packet, page 5 of the report. You'll see that for fiscal 22, aside from debt payments totaling totaling a little over 380,000, we spent about 1.1 million in total on projects and other assorted costs that are to support the Urban Renewal District. Those include administrative costs as well as time from Elaine, of course. And so we are making progress in our projects already. And we've detailed a few of what those projects are, as well as giving you some pictures. Looking forward, all of these numbers are provided to you based on ORS. ORS requires exactly these buckets, if you will. And so we've given you past expenditures as well as looking to the future for next fiscal year, which is actually this fiscal year, fiscal 23. And you'll see that while we have budgeted almost $7 million, not including reserves, that's not likely going to happen. We try to err on the side of budgeting a little higher conservatively so that if we can get those projects done, we will. But at this point, we don't anticipate being more than halfway through the year that we are going to spend that level of dollars. But we will get them spent, and we'll have, as you know, a budget kickoff coming up later this month to talk more about where we are with that. And then, of course, in May, we'll have our budget meetings to really refine the details for fiscal 24, as well as let you know where we are in fiscal 23. And I think that's all I'll say. I hope you had a chance to look at the report, and I'd welcome any questions.
Right. Questions about the report? There
It's nicely done.
It looks really, really good.
is a requirement of us of the Urban Renewal Agency Board to approve this report. And then we would forward it on to both the city and the other affected taxing districts who receive a copy of this.
Ready to do the deed.
Oh, Ms.
Okay.
McKeel.
I move to approve and forward the Monmouth Urban Renewal Agency financial report for the fiscal year 21-22 to the City Council of Monmouth and other impacted taxing jurisdictions.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McKeel and Mr. Oberst for the second. Any additional questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And seeing none opposed, we do that. And I am going to take this opportunity to let you all know that as of today, we've been notified that this will be the last report of this kind we receive from Finance Director Chenard, who has announced her upcoming retirement.
Whoa! Now, to be fair, I want to be properly happy for and hopeful for.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
And I want to thank Janet for giving us a lot of notice about her planned retirement date And she's already got ideas about recruiting her successor. All of that is very helpful, but it doesn't stop the sting of getting a letter announcing that Janet is planning to retire as of mid-June of this year. So
And I was just going to say how nice this is because she makes our job so easy.
it's true.
So we're pained and happy at the same time.
Yes.
I feel the same.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. It was a very tough decision, but I will miss you guys, and I love this job. Marty will tell you, I say that even when you're not around.
We're really lucky. But luckily, Janet also she's going to be with us through this budget season.
Right.
So we're grateful for all of this.
Yes, thank you so much for all your work. You're
So
amazing.
start planning those difficult questions now, because we're gonna like crush her.
I thought you were saying start the planning, a party
I
planning.
know, the retirement party. What?
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Janet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. All right. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn the urban renewal meeting.
I'll move to adjourn.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And the Urban Renewal Agency is adjourned. At this time, I would like to return to the City Council meeting and announce our last item of business, and that is an executive session. We will now meet in executive session for the purpose of discussing a performance evaluation of public officers and employees. This session is held pursuant to ORS 190-2662I, performance evaluation of public officers and employees, which allows the council to meet in executive session. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. However, it is not anticipated that action will be taken this evening after returning from executive session. So I will take a 8-minute recess if we can.